What's going on, guys? Welcome back to F1 23 for My Team Career Mode Season 2, Round number 6, the Austrian Grand Prix. We're back in Austria for the second time in F1 23, of course, and it is our first sprint weekend of this season. We haven't had a sprint yet, 6 rounds in, because, of course, we got rid of Baku. We're also getting rid of Circuit of the Americas as well. Only 4 sprints this season, and this is the first one. We won the sprint race here last season, had very good pace. Didn't quite win the race, fell back a little bit in that one, but we did win the sprint, so let's see what we can do here. We have to choose a new rival going into this race. We've gone for Max Verstappen because I actually feel like he is probably the one we can beat the most. I mean, realistically, Hamilton is our rival at the moment, but I think Verstappen will be the easiest one to beat, which is pretty weird to say. We have actually made a little bit of a gain on Mercedes and Aston Martin going into this race weekend, as they have kind of plateaued from the last round. We've had a little bit of an improvement. I think we had a aerodynamic upgrade come through, so let's see how that helps us. Still a big battle for the mid-pack behind us, which Williams are now quite comfortably part of as well. As we get into Q1 here, a lot of people starting their laps as we just come past Yuki Tsunoda as we head into the hairpin. Little bit deep into the hairpin there. We're just having to really avoid Carlos Sainz there. There's cars everywhere who are just on their outlaps to start their lap in Q1. We ended up P5 in Q1, Tsunoda there in P9, so decent enough from us. No surprises out in Q1, just the usual suspects. It seems to be now that, you have 2 AlphaTauris, usually Logan Sargent, Zhou Guan Yu's usually out in Q1 as well, or Bottas. It's usually one of the Alfa Romeos, and then both the Hasses tend to go out in Q1 as well. Sometimes you'll get one of them make it through, but yeah, I think for the last 2 races it has been the same 5 drivers going out in Q1. As we head into Q2, it's purple through Sector 2 for us, so looking like a pretty decent lap here. We actually get it hooked up very well around the final corner as well. I've been struggling a bit with that final corner. We cross the line, end up P3 in Q2 there, Tsunoda up to P6, so a little bit of an improvement from both of us there. No real surprises out here. Both Alpines are out though, and Gasly's been out-qualified by Ocon for the first time this season. Both McLarens also out, and Alexander Albon is up in P11, so he's showing some very good pace here. Of course, that Williams is very quick in a straight line. This is a track that you definitely want straight line speed for, which also makes it a good track for us. However, it does also make it a good track for Mercedes and Aston Martin ahead of us in R&D. I did have a look, they are actually both ahead of us on the powertrain department, so yeah, I thought it was just Aston Martin that were ahead of us. Mercedes are actually, I think, the quickest or the best with the powertrain at the moment, so it is very close between us all though, so there's not a whole lot in it. This is my Q2 lap. We actually were red through Sector 1, not a particularly great first sector. However, you can see we are, we're like half a tenth kind of within our time there. We slightly dip round to the red as we go around that corner, but now we're back in the green again. Going through to the final corner now. This is where time can be made up as we head around the final corner. Once again, a decent final corner. We actually managed to just about get over a tenth of a second quicker than our previous lap. We end up P5. However, we've been beaten by Tsunoda in qualifying this time around. Haven't been beaten by him since the second round of the season. It's a Mercedes 1-2 though. Russell the driver ahead though. So let's see what the Austria Sprint has in store.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position. And Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Davies, Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Stroll, Albon, Norris, Ocon, Gasly, Oscar Piastri, Bottas, Zhou, Doohan, Liam Lawson, Sargent, Magnussen and Nick de Vries. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
So here we are for the sprint race in Austria to 5 red lights. We've got 1 car in 3rd, 1 car in 5th. It's good qualifying from us as we get going, but Tsunoda has had a terrible launch off the lights and we get past him going into turn 1. The 2 Red Bulls have gotten past him as well. He's dropped all the way down to P7. We follow Alonso and the 2 Mercedes down the big street here. You can see there Tsunoda back down in 7th behind the Red Bulls. Now myself, Alonso and Tsunoda and a few other cars actually starting on the medium compound tyres. The 2 Mercedes up front are on the softs, the 2 Red Bulls are on the softs as well, and it's about half and half split as to what tyres people are starting on. But as you can maybe see already, there is rain starting to form in this race. Now I was advised that there would potentially be rain in this race, but it was very light amount, kind of midway towards the end of the race. And it's of course only a sprint race. I was thinking that, you know, we'll probably not even need to come in for intermediates. But with the rain already just starting, only a few little drops you can see there on the camera, but with it already starting, maybe there's going to be more rain here than I expect. So were the medium tyres the option to start with here? This may screw us over a little bit, as you can see as we head on to lap number 2, the rain is coming down even more, and on to lap number 3 now. It is really starting to come down. DRS has been enabled though, so that's not been shut off just yet, and we are within DRS of Fernando Alonso, and we're going to get a big tow from him up to the hairpin, and we have the overall speed. He tries to go defensive, but we go into this corner, we go late on the brakes, just cut him off, stay within track limits, and get the move on Alonso up into P3 now. So we are now the highest of the medium compound runners, but as you can see the track is really getting wet now, and as we finish lap number 3, as we come into the pits, I decide, you know what, we've got to come in now. The team decides that this is time to go into the inters. As we come in, DRS now gets disabled, so the rain coming more than I expected it to as we now come out of the pits. Good pit stop from the team. Perez, the car behind us, now in the Red Bull. A few others stayed out on the dry compound tyres for one more lap. The Mercedes pair were both stayed out, so that could be interesting for this race. So did Alonso. Alexander Albon pitted at the same time as us, and it's really worked out for him. You can see how wet it is on the track now. He's gotten all the way up to I believe it's P6. Charles Leclerc, the car that he's just gotten past, but Leclerc's going to fight him back into the hairpin as they go side by side. The former world champion from last season, not having a particularly great season here in season 2. Albon, though, having a pretty damn good season in that Williams car, manages to stay ahead of Leclerc. As you can see now, we are actually now leading the race because the Mercedes, we got the undercut on the Mercedes drivers, but now the safety car is deployed on lap number 6, and it's now a red flag. We have a red flag in the sprint race here in Austria. What has gone on there? This is very exciting for this sprint race as we have a little bit of a look at a replay here. Watching on board with Max Verstappen in the Red Bull, he heads around the hairpin and he spins the car around. Is sat right on the racing line. He actually gets hit by one of the Ferraris of, I think, Charles Leclerc, and that brings out the red flag, just that big pile up of cars there. At the same time, just before that was happening, Hamilton was trying to make his way back through the order because he kind of got screwed over with having to double stack with Russell in the pits, and also, you know, doing that one lap extra. He's fallen right down to the back end of the top 10 and is now fighting with my teammate Yuki Tsunoda. Leclerc and Albon, the cars up ahead of him. So I think this is actually the battle for 7th between Hamilton and Tsunoda right now, as yeah, they get to the hairpin and now come to a complete stop because that is where Verstappen has spun around. The rain looks like it has not gone away, coming out of the red flag, so we are back onto a set of intermediates once again. It's actually heavier than it was before, so to 5 red lights for the second time in this sprint race. It is definitely wet on the track now. You can see how wet it is. Might almost be getting close to wet weather conditions, wet tyre conditions here, to be honest. As we head through turn 1, we just about manage to keep the lead here. Perez, the car behind us, the strategy worked out for him in this one with coming in at the same time we did, so he's up to 2nd place in that Red Bull. His teammate a fair way down now as Zhou Guanyu is out of the race with a mechanical failure straight off the line, so very unfortunate for him. He will not be scoring points here today and will be starting right at the back for the main Grand Prix. As now going into the hairpin here, we lead the way. We have George Russell trying to get past Sainz for P3, and I think He's just about got that done. So that's Russell up back into the podium positions once again for this sprint race. As there's battles going on behind as well. That is Alexander Albon coming under threat from Max Verstappen, who actually hasn't lost as many positions as you may think, although he has been given a 5-second penalty for that spin and causing everybody to stop and causing the red flag. So he will, I assume, plummet down the order, but he's now battling with Albon for this position. You've got Hamilton and Tsunoda behind battling as well. Then you've got, I think, Alonso ahead of them, and then Sainz, bit more of a gap to Russell, who's starting to pull away from this pack. Albon cannot quite defend from Verstappen this time around, as now Sainz comes around to turn 1. He's currently sitting in, I think, P4. Decent result from him, but he's spun around at turn number 1. Thankfully, everybody manages to avoid him. No safety car, no red flag this time, but very unfortunate for Sainz. Russell now on the final lap of this sprint race is right on the back of Sergio Perez. He just has so much more pace in that Mercedes car. It is a much better car than the Red Bull, and as they head up to the hairpin, Russell is on the outside right now. Perez trying to keep the inside there. He hasn't had a podium this season. This technically wouldn't be a podium because it's only the sprint race, but he's definitely looking for a podium of sorts here today. His best result of the season it would be, and he does just about manage to defend from Russell. So Perez will take home P2, Russell will take home P3, but we are going to do the double, and we're going to win the sprint race in Austria for the second time. We won it here in Season 1, we win it again in Season 2, very much helped by the weather here. I think if it wasn't for the weather, for the rain, we wouldn't have been winning. But yeah, once again in this game, and I really hope it gets fixed. It seems like in wet weather we just seem so much better than the AI. Tsunoda, it's not the best race for him. I think he may pick up a point or two, but not the best for him. But yeah, let's get into the actual main race, the Austrian Grand Prix.
Welcome from the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Davies lines up on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Russell, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Bottas, Magnussen, Sargent, Liam Lawson, Doohan, Ocon, De Vries, Sainz, Stroll, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Gasly and Zhou Guanyu. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Now let's talk about Sergio Perez. There's a new gearbox in the back of that car, which means a grid penalty and hopefully some excitement as they make their way through the field.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be. It's about effective damage limitation.
Alright, so here we go for the Austrian Grand Prix, the main race, starting from P1 for the second time here as we get underway. It is a good start from us. We're starting on the soft compound tyres this time around because we don't have a set of mediums. That also means that we're going to have to go from soft to hard compound tyres, so we may have screwed ourselves over a little bit with that sprint race being on the medium compound tyres. Russell he is starting on the medium compound tyres and he's gotten ahead of Perez already. So good pace in that Mercedes car. Not a great start from Sergio Perez despite being on the soft compound tyres. As we now head down to the next corner to, I guess, what is turn number 4, I guess you would call it, as we head through and yeah, just about keeping the lead for now. We've already got quite the gap to Perez. He's not had a good start at all. Actually, it's not even Perez in third now, it's Fernando Alonso who's managed to get up to P3. As we head through Sector 2, Russell actually takes the fastest second sector, so despite being on the medium tyres, he is showing some very good pace in that Mercedes car. It's not Hamilton up here with us, he's a bit further down in like P6, P7, but yeah, it is a good start from us, a good start from Russell, Hamilton's teammate, who will definitely be trying to shove us down the order so that his teammate can get positions on us, get points on us in the championship. And Hamilton's trying to make light work of Alexander Albon, who's sitting P5. Great starting position from him after that very good sprint race. I think he picked up 3 points in the sprint, which is amazing for Williams. Hamilton, though, trying to get past in the much quicker Mercedes car. He's going to try and go round the outside of turn 1, and he gets that move done. What a great move from Hamilton there. I believe that was Norris as well, just getting past one of the Ferraris behind as well. And the other Ferrari of Carlos Sainz is out of the race after his spin in the sprint. He has now had a mechanical failure in the race, and Sainz will not finish this race. He will not score any points this weekend, so very unfortunate for him and Ferrari. Lap number 5, and Russell is already right on our tail on those medium tyres, and Alonso's right here as well. He's on the soft compound the same as us, but he's showing some very good pace here. So at the moment, it is a 3-car battle for the win, for the lead in this race. We can't say for the win yet, because there's still a lot of laps left to go, still 30-odd laps to go. But yeah, getting hounded by 2 cars right now, as Russell once again goes to the outside of the hairpin. We just defend the line, squeeze him out, don't give him anywhere near, well, we give him enough room, but we're not going to give him any more than we need to, as now going down into turn 1, going quite defensive, let off the battery a little bit, and he actually goes for a move up the inside into turn 1. Did not quite expect him to go for a move there, puts us out a little bit wide, but thankfully he was also compromised at taking such a tight line. Lando Norris now is the car trying to get past Alexander Albon, who is slowly falling down the order because that Williams is not massively quick, at least through the corners. On the straights it's pretty rapid, but yeah, definitely doesn't quite have the pace of the cars around. Norris trying to get the move done on Albon. They are side by side. They're still going to be side by side all the way down into turn 4 now. Norris on the inside, Albon on the outside. He will try and hang it around the outside, and he might have actually done that. I think he has. What a great little defend from Alexander Albon. He keeps the position from Norris at that point in time. We continue on a couple of laps later on lap number 8. We're still just getting absolutely hounded by Russell and Alonso behind. Hamilton is now up to P4 as well. So us fighting means that he can catch up as well. And he is the main one I'm wanting to, you know, stay ahead of in this race and in this championship. Russell gets past us into the hairpin of turn 3. We're going to try and come back at him into the next corner though, and sure enough, as we look, we don't quite, Russell positions his car absolutely perfectly, and we can't get back past Russell, so we're now in second place. And yeah, I think those medium tyres really coming into their own right about now. As now we have Hamilton going for a move on Perez, so maybe he wasn't quite, I think this happened around about the same time as what you were just seeing before with me. Hamilton getting past Perez into turn 1. Logan Sargent here actually running in a pretty good position. I don't think he's quite in the points, but he's just outside of it. But as you can see, there is a massive swarm of cars. I think that was Pierre Gasly just got past him, or it might have been Esteban Ocon. And now it's going to be 3 wide with Sargent, Verstappen and Stroll into the hairpin. Stroll manages to go around the outside of both of those guys. What an overtake from Lance Stroll that was. Very, very good move there for him. As now, once again, Hamilton is trying to get past Perez, because I think Perez got back past him again. And yeah, there you go. Perez just about defends from Hamilton. And now Leclerc is, as Hamilton's been compromised, Leclerc's now coming to get past Hamilton. And he's going for the move on Perez as well into the hairpin. It's 3 wide with these guys as well. This is currently the battle for P4. And Hamilton has just about come out of that one on top, and he regains that P4 position. We come into the pits on lap number 14 onto our hard compound tyres to go to the end of the race. Now, hopefully this won't be too bad for us, because like I said, I probably would have rather been on the mediums, but we didn't have a new set of mediums to go on to. I don't know what everybody else is doing, like for the soft compound runners and also for the medium compound runners, whether they're going to try and go to softs or whether they will go to hards. I imagine they've probably used their softs in the sprint race, so maybe this isn't the worst strategy for us. What does happen to us though is that we get overcut by Fernando Alonso. He comes in a lap later than us onto the hard compound tyres, and he's actually gotten past us in the pit stop. So we're now down into P3. But now Alonso is going for a move on Leclerc, who's actually coming into the pits. It massively screws Alonso over, and we go round the outside of both of them. So thank you, Charles Leclerc, for giving us that position on Alonso. That really worked out for us. But Alonso is going to come straight back at us around the outside into turn 1, and we just have to kind of let him go, because yeah, that was a beautiful little move there for Alonso to get that position back. But now no DRS for either of us, but we have the run and ERS deploying on him up into turn number 3. On the inside here, we're going to do the same thing we did a little bit earlier, go deep into the corner, keep it within track limits, but get the position on Fernando Alonso. We're now back up into P3 because Hamilton and Russell have not pitted yet, but Alonso is really putting up a fight with us here as he goes up the inside into turn 3 this time around. We're going to try and do a little bit of a switchback right up behind him, very close to the back of the Spaniard's car. We have DRS. We both get slightly on the grass as we are now going for the move around the outside and into the next corner. We're already past him, and we're now back up into what is now P2 because Hamilton has come into the pits. Russell comes into the pits this lap around. He's just coming out of the pits now as Alonso gets back past us again. So Alonso putting up a great fight, but he locks up into turn 1, and we swish our way through on the inside. So he just gets past us, then locks up. We get straight back past him again, and then the safety car is out. We've now got a safety car in the main race as well. No red flag this time around, but it is a safety car. So chaos in Austria, as is often the case. So let's see how this goes. I don't think it's going to affect too much positions wise, because pretty much everybody's already come into the pits, and this is Kevin Magnussen doing the exact same thing that Fernando Alonso did, Max Verstappen did earlier in the race. So yeah, 2 drivers now spinning at that hairpin. As we are now under the safety car, Russell leads the safety car. The safety car goes under the floor though, glitches out. Russell continues on, then it appears again, and Russell's now ahead of the safety car. We come up behind the safety car, and George Russell has been disqualified because he's overtaken the safety car. What the hell was that? The safety car glitched through the floor, caused Russell to get disqualified for overtaking it, so now we are leading the way. Russell is out of the race. He has been disqualified, so a bit of a game-breaking glitch there. That is very unfortunate. I actually tried replaying a couple of times, but it just kept on happening the same. So we have to continue on here with Russell disqualified from the lead of the race. We, around the final corner, just about put our foot down to try and get the jump on Alonso and the cars behind. Alonso's very quick though as we head onto lap number 23. Yuki Tsunoda's in the pits. I think he's come into the pits a couple of times for front wing damage in this race. It's not been a good race from Tsunoda, and he has fallen well to the back of the grid now and is probably not going to score points. We head up to the hairpin, and Alonso actually comes at us. I did not really expect him to come at us into that corner. We go way too wide into the hairpin. Alonso now takes the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. Hamilton is the car behind us now, so his teammate's out. But now the driver that we really want to be battling, or well, we really don't want to be battling because we want to be well ahead of him, is now the car right behind us, and Fernando Alonso leads the Austrian Grand Prix. Lance Stroll is also trying to make his way through the order. He's a bit further back, but not too far back, as he's got Charles Leclerc, the car behind him. I think he just got past Leclerc. Leclerc's now going to try and come back at him, though, through turn 1. A little bit of tyre banging, I believe. Leclerc just about gets past, and now Stroll, with no DRS, is going to lose out to one of the Red Bulls as well of Max Verstappen, because there is Sergio Perez a bit further up the road. Verstappen now trying to get past Leclerc as well, and he has done that. So very good racing from Verstappen there from all 3 of those guys. He's up 2 positions there in that first sector. Now Hamilton is really coming at us. We've actually lost DRS from Alonso up ahead, and Hamilton is now past us, and he is up into 2nd place. We really want to beat Hamilton here, so we come back at him with DRS into the hairpin, past him very early on, make sure we defend, and we are now back up into P2, but we are out of DRS from Alonso, so that could be a game changer here, and Hamilton's going to keep coming at us. This is the big battle for the championship at this early part of the season. Hamilton goes past into turn 1. We make contact with the back of his car, and we're actually just going to check for damage there. Nothing came up on the heads-up display, but then my engineer tells us that there is a little bit of damage to the front wing, so it's obviously not as bad as it was in Canada. As we go into the hairpin, we've pushed him again. We've made more contact with Hamilton. Things are getting spicy here in this battle, so we have a tiny amount of front wing damage, but it's not even enough to bring it up on the heads-up display, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. As we now have one of the Alpines, I believe, of Pierre Gasly. Is it? Maybe it's Ocon, I can't quite remember. I think it is Gasly, because he doesn't have the yellow T-cam anymore. He is battling with Charles Leclerc, so despite starting from the back of the grid, basically, for Gasly, he's up into points here, and fairly well up into points as well. So Gasly still showing that he's got some great pace in that Alpine car. This is the battle for the final points position, currently held by Liam Lawson in the Haas, but Albon's going to spoil the party. He's going to stop Lawson from getting his first points in Formula 1 and take that 10th position. Hamilton now is going for the lead on Fernando Alonso on the second to last lap of this Grand Prix. He wants to get as many points over us as he can in this championship. As you can see, these two have absolutely dropped me. I just don't have the pace anymore with that bit of front wing damage not helping. But now Fernando Alonso he's not going to win his first race in a long time. It is going to be Lewis Hamilton who will take the lead of this race for the and have one more lap to go. Just behind us, there's a bit of a traffic jam going on between the two Red Bulls, Lando Norris, I believe that is, and Lance Stroll, as now Sergio Perez under fire from his teammate Max Verstappen, who's trying to get past on the final lap here. They're going to go side by side, but Verstappen will get past his teammates and up another position, so a good recovery drive from Verstappen from further down the order, right at the back of the grid, to come home, I think it looks like for a P4 actually, so very good from Verstappen. We are going to come through, Hamilton will win the race, Alonso is going to come home second and have the fastest lap. We're still going to be on the podium, it's P3 for us, however our winning streak is over. We didn't quite have the pace in the dry here. And yeah, that little bit of damage we picked up from running into Hamilton probably didn't help us either, but it is still a podium, a P3 position. But yeah, that could be big for the championship.
A fantastic team effort then to secure victory here in the Styrian Alps. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners.
So that's very big for Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, winning this race on the second to last lap, taking the win from Fernando Alonso, who hasn't won a race in over 10 years by this point. It was looking like he might have got the win here, but didn't have the pace that Hamilton did. He was absolutely pushing it like crazy. So he will take 10 points from us in the championship here, so that is big. We do end up getting P3 though, so we're on the podium here. But yeah, not quite the win that I was hoping for, but we have had 2 wins in a row, 3 if you count the sprint. So it's still a pretty decent run from us. Yeah, so 3rd place there, not too bad. What a result from Max Verstappen to come home P4 after starting, what, like P20 or something, 19 or 20. Great result. Tsunoda finishes P18. It has not been a good race for him. Yeah, came into the pits 3 times, twice for front wing changes. So one to forget for Tsunoda after his 2nd place finish in Canada last time out. We now are only 15 points ahead of Hamilton in the championship, so he has closed that gap by 10 points. But yeah, it is very close. It is very, very close in this championship still. And maybe now, after we've had a couple of very good rounds, this will come back to Hamilton again. And Mercedes retake the lead of the constructors as well, just 7 points ahead of us now. But yeah, it is still very close in the constructors as well between us and Mercedes. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.